Okay, so formal essay writing is what you are starting today. Um, I already mentioned it in your remind, but you need an introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. Body paragraphs could probably be around 3 or 4, no less than three, around 3 or 4. But all of your body paragraphs need to be specific. Um, they need to be about a certain topic, and they must not revert back. But let's start with our introduction. So your introduction, I don't want fluff. I don't want like the fluff hook with like the question anymore. We've moved away from that. We need to be more formal, more to the point, more I'm getting across the details and specifics of what needs to be discussed in this essay. So your introduction should be more of an introduction to both the Raven and the novel. So for instance, you need to introduce authors' titles, maybe a short, how they compare, how we relate up to a certain point in time, and then thesis, okay? Your thesis is going to be the most important part of your essay. When I read your essay, the first thing I'm going to look for is your thesis statement. So it needs to be the last sentence of your introduction. I'm going to say it one more time. Your thesis needs to be the last sentence of your introduction. It needs to be detailed, it needs to be specific, and your thesis is going to be the roadmap for your essay. So what your body paragraphs are going to be topicked and what's going to be discussed in those body paragraphs needs to be briefly specified in your thesis statement. Okay, so thesis is absolutely the last sentence of your introduction. If I were you all, I would write my body paragraphs first. So for your body paragraphs, you're going to want to look at and see what you need to, what you're going to compare with the imagery and the way that tone is used to pretty much characterize the Raven versus how imagery and tone is used to characterize grief and mourning in Miss Havisham. So you should have multiple ways and multiple examples of that. So your body paragraphs can be laid out by that, the different ways that it's used or the different examples. If you have examples, moreover, you need quotes. They don't have to be cited. I would like them to be cited, but I know we've never touched on citations. It's not something usually people get to until more like junior year. But you need to be using quotes to back up what you're saying in your body paragraphs. So, for example, if you set up your body paragraphs to be topicked by examples, each body paragraph should have an example. Moreover, make sure you have a topic sentence, which is just like that introduction sentence to what your paragraph is going to be about. I shouldn't be reading and guessing what your paragraph is about. You should blatantly tell me at the beginning what that paragraph's about, and then you dive into it. This is an analysis essay. An analysis is kind of like what we do in class when we stop our reading and we do like a deep dive discussion. That's an analysis. You are just deep dive discussing how both authors kind of use imagery to create these characters and the personalities of these characters in both of these different writings. Another example of analysis that we did was like the symbolism discussion that we had the other day. That's just analyzing symbolism. Okay, we get a quote, we get an example, and we deep dive into what the author is truly trying to say and tell us about that. And now, your conclusion. This should be the easiest paragraph that you write. The most important thing for the conclusion is do not add any new information. Your conclusion should do what a conclusion is, and it should conclude. Okay, don't add any new information. Don't leave us on a cliffhanger. Once again, don't need fluff. Take your thesis statement and break it down. Break it down into multiple sentences, and that will get you a proper conclusion for this essay. Anything I'm missing? Thesis, very important. Body paragraphs should be detailed. Your quotes in your body paragraphs should be no more than 2 lines. Okay, you shouldn't be filling up a whole paragraph with a quote. 2 lines is typically the rule of thumb with how long you want your quotes to be. If they are longer, shorten them, use the ... and then put the other part. That's important to break it up into 2 separate instances that you use it. Yeah, quotes are important, but you should have way more. You should have about 4 sentences per 1 quote in your body paragraphs, okay? There should be sentences. You can't just leave a quote, use a quote, and end it right there. There should be sentences after explaining what your quotes mean. If you have questions, send me a remind. I think you all will do well. But if you can't think of any ideas, can't think of any topics, let me know.